Welcome to the Swirl Suite, where we talk wine, beer, cocktails, and everything in between.
Hello. Thank you for joining the Swirl Suite. Today's guest is Jay, and I want to get your last name correct. Buchsbaum?
Perfect.
There we go. All right.
You're the first person in a long time that's done that perfectly the first time.
Yay, me.
They mess it up so often that I just say, just call me Jay. I don't even have a name. I just have a letter.
Say JB. That's it. We're good with it. And so, Jay, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, gosh. I graduated college with a degree in accounting and a minor in psychology.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the really short story. I worked as a fiscal records analyst, just a junior auditor for the city of New York when they were going out of business. That just tells you how old I am. And the only thing that they were hiring were auditors because they wanted to find out where all the money was. And I hated it because it meant I had to sit in one place all day and go through papers, you know? And then someone said to me, well, I got a job for you. You could sell wine at half your salary right now and zero benefits that you're having right now. And the only thing is you'll have to travel, they told me. And I said, you had me at hello. So, especially when they told me that I'm not going to be paying for the traveling, you know? So I've traveled all over the world. It's been a long, wonderful journey, starting out with, sweet, syrupy, what we call traditional Concord wines, which, some of which I thought were too dry. Today, I love and I drink some of the finest Bordeaux and Chateaux from California and France and Paris, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's been a great ride.
It sounds like it. So now we have you here today because there was a wine glass guide for the perplexed. And we often get questions about, do I really need to have this glass? Should I, get a whole set of glasses? So we wanted to talk to you today just to kind of explain wine glasses to us. So to start, can you tell us the difference between red and white wine glasses? We'll start real basic here.
Yes. You know what? I forgot. But if you give me literally 12 seconds, I'm going to go grab the glass. Just
Sure.
one glass.
No
All right,
problem.
let's do it. I can grab my water. I'm going to
Yeah.
over here.
I'm sipping a
Over
mocktail.
I'm having a mocktail at 9 a.m. 10 a.m. to you. Yeah.
I said mocktail.
Well, I'm going to be drinking tonight because I can now. I got a place to sit my glass.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
This is your basic wine glass.
Okay.
Okay? And you'll notice it has what we call a stem and
Base.
Okay.
base, right? Stem and a base. Oh God, I'm losing it. As a bowl, this is what we call the bowl. All right. So it has a stem, a base, a stem, and a bowl. Okay. And one of the reasons why this wine glass, this is what is considered an all-purpose wine glass. It comes from, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it comes from our KFWE, our Kosher Food and Wine Experience, which now we have 6 of them throughout the world. And it brings together 17 countries and over
Wow.
2 wineries and winemakers. But every year we're challenged with, getting a glass for everyone that is useful to all the wines, whether it be Chardonnay or Cabernet or even Champagne and sparkling wines.
Mm-hmm.
So this is an all-purpose glass. You'll notice besides having the base, the stem, and the bowl, the top is tapered inward. And one of the reasons for this is because if you put wine in the glass, it is able to focus the aroma. I don't know if you can still see it down here. Let me just fix that a little bit. Okay. It focuses the aroma so that when you put your nose in, you get a better hit of the aromatics of the wine.
Okay.
Got it.
That's the basics of the wine glass.
Okay.
A lot of questions, fix this again. There are a lot of questions of what kind of wine glass to use for which kind of wine, and I'm ready to answer any of those.
Starting with that, so since that is like a universal glass that will work for everything, is there a best glass for like a universal white wine glass and a universal red wine glass?
So that's a very good question. The objective of wine glasses is to express the best aromatics and also flavors of the wine. So for example, in the case of a rich red wine, which is generally at room temperature, and we talk about room temperature, Tanisha, we're talking about the room temperature, European room temperature, which is for wine, which is considered about 65 degrees. I don't know how you say that in centigrade, but
I don't know either, because I still do Fahrenheit.
But it's cool. Okay, it's not like 72 degrees like we have it in America, but it's cool, not cold, but cool at 68 degrees. And most red wine glasses, the wider the bowl, so the bowl here is, I'm fisting the bowl here like this, but imagine the bowl being this wide, so it's a wider bowl. And the reason for that is the wider the bowl, the more surface area of wine is exposed to the air.
Okay, so like built-in aeration, just right in the glass without having to add a separate aerator. Okay.
Correct. Now, in white wine, where it's colder and you want the flavors more focused, you want slightly lesser area of exposure to the air of the wine. So that's why this would be considered more of a white wine glass than a red wine glass. But because we have to pick one glass universally for everybody, for a show with 3,000 people or whatever, so this is the glass we use. So yes, the answer is that a white wine glass would be more focused like this. A red wine glass would be wider bowl. And then you have a sparkling wine glass, which would be that flute-shaped glass, which would be even thinner than this, more tapered at the top. And the reason for that is you don't want to lose the sparkle. So if you have a red wine, if you're using a red wine glass, for example, for a sparkling wine, within no time, the sparkle, that CO2 will escape, and then you'll lose that kind of fun, actually flavorful component of the sparkle.
Question for you. So do you swirl your sparkling wines?
I would say only slightly. And because it is a very focused glass, you won't lose much of, that's a great question. You won't lose much of the sparkle, but you'll still be able to get more of the aromatics. And in great French champagnes, you want those aromatics because great French champagnes have that yeasty kind of fresh bread from Brooklyn that really, that you can only get at a fresh bakery where you smell the yeast in the air almost. And so you do want to get some of that aroma, but you don't want to do too much because you don't want to lose the sparkle.
Okay. And I want to ask you a question because you mentioned that glass being slightly tapered at the top, and that's being good for white wine. So with the red wine having a larger bowl at the bottom, are red wine glasses tapered to focus the aromatics as well?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they're wider, and then they come in even more sometimes. So it's a tighter relative to the widest space. This is about, I'm guessing, about a 1/4 inch in from the widest space.
Okay.
Red wine glass, even though it's much wider, the difference between the widest part and the tapered part in a good red wine glass could be as much as 1 inch or more. So it's much tighter. And the reason for it is because you got all that wonderful aroma in the glass, and then you can have it closed in around your nose. I even do this sometimes.
Oh,
to get
cover.
A full, to get a full, I cover half of it or 1/3 of it, so I can get even more aromatics, kind of hyper focused into my nose.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. So if someone is just starting out, they're like, all right, I just got a new apartment or a new home, and I want to get a set of glasses, what would you recommend?
So I'm a kind of stickler about this. So most people would be pretty cool, and I'm pretty cool about drinking wine, meaning, the wine you like. Don't be a snob about it. If you enjoy it, even if it's sweet, sparkling, whatever, it's fine as long as it's well made. So drink the wine you like. But when it comes to glasses, I'm not so cool.
Okay, this is where you say, wait a minute.
Now this is going to because this really makes a difference in the experiential drinking of the wine. So if someone, to answer your question more directly, if someone is starting a new home and they want wine glasses, I would say buy a set of white wine glasses and buy a set of red wine glasses. And I always err on the side of grandiosity when it comes to glasses. So get 12 of each.
Okay.
Always get 12 of each. It's not that much more money than 6 or 8 of each, and it always is an opportunity to invite more friends and family. Get a wide bowled glass for your red wine. Get a more tapered one for your white. And I would say you don't have to get a sparkling wine glass right away. There, I'm a little bit easier on on drinkers. You could use your white wine glass for that purpose initially. If you really get into champagnes, which I love champagnes, then go out and buy another set of 12 flutes.
So I have a question because
Sure.
some folks that visit me break my wine glasses. So is there so where would I go to buy these wine glasses, red and white, or do you have a brand in mind that I won't feel too terrible about people who break them every now and then, and I can just replace them quickly?
So as I do with a lot of things, go online, go Google it. This is I forget the name of this brand, but Riedel is a good brand, although Riedel is expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But they have some all-purpose glasses that are not that expensive. Also, check with your local retailers. In most states in the union, they will sell glasses. You can also go to places like Bed Bath & Beyond, but there you need to be careful because they're not familiar with good wine glassware, and sometimes they'll sell you wine glassware that's just on sale that's not really appropriate. It's not as easy as other purchases. I would also get glasses that are, and you actually mentioned it, that are break resistant, not break proof, not unbreakable, because the unbreakable ones are usually very heavy and therefore don't allow the elegance of the wine, the aroma, the flavor to come out. So I would get break resistant glasses more than unbreakable. And that's what I would suggest. I know that's kind of doesn't answer your question exactly.
No, it does. Yeah.
you got to do a little research on that score.
Got it.
Wine glasses are made of different materials. Some people think of just like glass, or then there's crystal, and then some things have lead. Is there something in particular that we should be looking for, or is one better than another as far as what the glass itself is made of?
The main thing is avoid at all cost lead crystal.
Okay.
Avoid it at all cost. And that's not because it's bad for the wine. That's because it's bad for you. Okay? We should not have any lead in our systems. I think, in fact, they may be outlawed at this point, but there are still a lot of lead crystal that you can get online from older sets that are still lead crystal. In fact, I probably have some from Murano in Italy that I bought many, many years ago that I probably should never use.
How can you tell it's lead in the crystal? It's going to say on the box, or?
It'll say it on the box.
Got it.
It's interesting, until they discovered that there is leaching even from the glassware, although some people argue it isn't, but when they discovered that there in fact is, before then, it was like a badge of honor. Oh, I've got lead crystal glassware, and people were really thinking, that's really fancy stuff. Well, it really was fancy stuff because somehow I think it refracted the light in a certain way, or it really looked better, or it really held better. It was heavier, so it seemed to be more elegant and more rich, so to speak. But really avoid lead crystal. That's the main thing. The other thing that you should avoid, and you've seen it many times, and they'll probably kill me for saying this, but Libby glassware used to have it. They're much better now. Used to have this like little lip on top. You ever seen that?
Yes.
Lip. Avoid that at all costs.
Okay.
All right. It's just not great for drinking wine. So you get the kind of cut-edged glassware. It's not sharp, as you can see. I'm putting my finger on it. But it's much more elegant and really treats the wine better. So those are two things I'd avoid. And the reverse of that is true. Get ones without them and get the smooth shaped ones, smooth top ones.
I have a rather odd question. Do you think that designs on the wine glass affect the way that you taste wine? Like polka dots and stripes and flowers and...
You know what? It's a brilliant question, actually. A lot of people, and I'm glad you asked it because I didn't mention it when you asked me the first question, which is what kind of glassware you should buy. And I said red and white, right? But I didn't say it needs to be completely clear. It shouldn't even have like the crystal, which can be very beautiful, but it takes away from what we call the view of the wine. So, for example, you taste wine with believe it or not, with all five senses, and I'll show you how. Okay, the first sense is the sense of sight, right? And the way you do that is by pouring the wine into the glass and looking at it. So for red, you're looking for something. It's not brown. It's got to be a good color. It can't have stuff floating around in it. Then the second is the sense of smell, right? So you swirl it, right? You do have the sense of touch because when you pick up a wine glass, you'll feel it's cold. When you pick up a red wine glass, you'll feel it's at room temperature, not warm, remember. All right, so that's the third. Then you have the sense of smell. Let's see, we've got sight, smell, feel, right? Taste, right? The only sense that you apparently don't get is the sense of hearing, right? Well, you do, because how many times do you clink glasses with somebody else?
I love it.
Okay.
Of hearing as well. And so, but directly to answer your question, you leave the view as clear as possible. That's why even the logo that we put on, two things. First of all, it's high up, so you never pour on samples. You never pour, even in a regular wine pour, you shouldn't pour your wine past, maybe 40% of the glass, so you can leave space for the aromatics to escape and to come to themselves. And secondly, it's high, so and it's also clear. It's just etched. You don't really, doesn't affect the view of the wine. So don't put the polka dots on. Don't buy. I know so many people have been glasses. Oh, you love my wine glasses, and they're dark red or they're dark blue, which is beautiful, but that's for water. Okay.
I used to have some like that. It was a big bowl, and then they came in these like jewel tone. It was a green, a yellow, a pink, a purple. Those are only just to drink out of. Just I'm sitting watching TV or just casually drinking.
Right.
But if I'm trying to taste or if I'm entertaining, no, I want you to get all the senses. Get everything you can out of it.
Exactly right.
Now, what do we think about stemless glasses? Do we hate them? Do we love them? Are we indifferent?
I'm on the wrong side of this. Most professionals today think stemless glasses are good because, face it, I mean, they're much more consumer friendly. Like you asked, they won't break, they don't fall over, they don't break as easy. There's even some stemless glasses that are made of plastic, but I'm on the other end of this. I don't like stemless glasses, and the reason I don't is because I don't think people should hold their wine by the bowl for several reasons. And again, it's because I'm a purist, and not everybody agrees with me. Number one, nobody wants especially when they're handing, if you're a hostess or a host, whatever, and you're handing somebody their glass of wine, they don't want your fingerprints on their, near their mouth, right? They don't want,
Yeah.
you know. So this way, if you hand it to them as a host from either the base or the stem, you're never touching their glass. So that's a good thing. But that's just for cleanliness and, you know, serving purposes. But also for tasting purposes, when the wine is served properly at its proper room temperature, by putting your hand on the bowl, you're changing that proper temperature automatically. Your hand is 98.6 if you're, you know, if you're healthy, right? So you don't want to put that 98.6 temperature on your glass, in my view. Most guys say, "Come on, Jay, you're being too much of a stickler for this." But I'm against them. It's just my one man's point of view.
I
Just
agree.
like, well, I don't know if you've seen this, but I'll show you. Here's a wine from Israel. Comes from the Golan Heights. It's really quite a delicious wine. It's a blend of Cabernet Merlot and Cabernet Franc, what we call a classic Bordeaux blend, although it doesn't come from Bordeaux, meaning it's made with the same grapes. But most people, when they cut the capsule, they'll cut it at the top lip. I don't. I cut it at the second lip.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that is, I don't know about you, have you ever drunk a can of Coke out of the can?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's different than drinking it from a glass.
Yes.
Because that metallic glass touches your mouth, and it really it makes it taste differently. Now, it's probably I'm being too much of a purist, but I don't want the wine to pour over the metal capsule.
Yeah.
Cut the capsule from the second, and therefore no wine ever touches metal capsule.
You're not being a purist at all. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people don't remove the foil at all. They just put the corkscrew right in, and then they let the cork pop through, and then they pour that way.
I'm with you, man. I'm coming to your party.
Because I have champagne.
There you go.
But yeah, I can't drink it like that. Now, we didn't mention this or talk about this before you started. You talked about how you kind of got into wine and how you got through the career that you have now. How did you get into glasses in this capacity? Like, this is beyond just, red, white, sparkling. This is
This is a great story. I very early on in my career, I was weeks away from being married, and I won a trip to Italy for an old, you ladies are too young to remember this, an old wine called Jacobazzi. I don't remember it. It was a fizzy, sparkling wine, kind of like the Moscatos that we have today, made out of Muscat. It was like $3. Like everybody at every party that was smoking and drinking, and I don't mean cigarettes. I won't go further with that, but
got it.
Drinking Jacobazzi and doing whatever else, partying, whatever else they were doing. Anyway, so we sold a lot of Jacobazzi. I was on that team. I got invited to visit the winery, and since I was in Italy, I went to Murano. Murano is an island off of, I can't remember where right now, but it's known for its glass making. And while I was in Murano, I figured, okay, here's a great place for me to buy glassware. And I bought a whole set of crystal glassware that I have to this day.
Oh, wow.
And we use to this day. I bought 12 of each. And that's what started me on and by the way, I believe those are in fact lead crystal. So I rarely use them. I use them mostly for show, but they're beautiful and they're crystal. And I didn't know the whole clear thing in those days and all that stuff because they were really cut crystal, gorgeous. I mean, and they put off beautiful lights, that goes through them, etc. But that's how I got into it. And since then, though, over the years of tasting wine and smelling wine, drinking wine, I've kind of acquired this sense of what really will make a wine taste better. And you can do this experiment at home. Take a regular water glass and take a wine glass, a decent wine glass, pour the same wine into each. Now remember, the water glass comes up like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does not taper. Okay, right? So take the wine glass and the water glass, put them side by side, pour the same wine into it, smell one, smell the other. You'll see the difference. Taste one, taste the other. You'll feel the difference.
That is an excellent experiment.
It is.
Guess I know what I'll be doing this week. So, Jay, you have shared a bunch of information with us. I have gotten educated on glasses, and I know Sarita has as well. What is something that you think that people don't know that they should, or what's like your biggest, if people would just stop this?
Oh, I can give you a list a mile long, but I'll start with a few real hard ones, and that is enjoy. As I said before, whatever your interest in wine, enjoy the wine that you like, and don't let anyone tell you that, oh, that's cheap stuff or that's no good stuff, just because it's sweet or just because it's fizzy or just because it's whatever, or just because it's inexpensive. Buy the wine you like, and don't let anybody tell you differently. Second thing is, don't put ice. This really hurts me. Don't put ice in your wine. Unless it's sangria.
Now they're making wine today that they're making it in a style for you to put ice in it. Is that okay?
I think they're making it in a style for you to chill it, even red wines. But I don't think it's meant to have actually the cubes put in it with it. So, for example, Herzog makes a wine called Jeunesse. Mm-hmm. It's a whole line. There's a white, there's a red, there's a muscat, there's a blend, there's a Chardonnay blend, et cetera, all of them, even the reds, Cabernet, Merlot, all of them are made with a little bit sweetness to them and are made, we call them the chillable reds. Jeunesse is, if you're in France, you'll know this, it means youthful or right? So they're chillable reds, but they are served out of the refrigerator. Okay? And so I would suggest don't put ice in your wine. That's a pet peeve of mine. Another pet peeve of mine is, like I said before, don't serve your wine in a water glass. Okay. Another pet peeve of mine is serve wine that's appropriate to your gathering. So if you're going to have Thanksgiving and Grandma's coming over, and she likes Asti Spumante, have Asti Spumante for her, even if you don't like it, even if you think it's too sweet for you. So what? How many times do you make a party and there's a vegan coming and you prepare a special dish just for them? Mm-hmm. Why not do the same thing for your wines? It's only kind, proper, and actually appropriate, even if you don't like it at all. So have a bottle for you and have a bottle for Grandma. We even do this when the kids come over. We have sparkling grape juice.
Nice.
So that they're taking part in it. Mm-hmm. It's completely non-alcoholic. It's fun. It's fizzy. It's sweet. So that's another thing. Serve what's appropriate. Those are some of my pet peeves.
Okay. 'Cause we like talking about our pet peeves. Sometimes a little too much, but yeah, things that kind of annoy us.
Those are good ones.
That whole pork out of the foil thing, that's a problem for me.
I agree.
Yeah. Jay, we want to thank you so much for being with us.
One more pet peeve.
Sure. Yes, that's here.
And that is that you ever see people that they do this with our Baron Herzog wine all the time. Those kind of rabbit.
Yeah.
Those.
Cringe when I see that. I cringe. Please, no. Hand it to me. I always carry a corkscrew in my pocket, know. So, use a proper corkscrew. And even if you don't know how to use it initially, believe me, after the third or fourth or fifth or maximum sixth time of you using it, you'll get the hang of it. So.
Yes. All right. Any other party words for us?
Where can everybody follow you, Jay?
Yes.
I'm on Facebook, and if you friend me and you mention, what do you guys call yourself?
The Swirl Suite?
Swirl Suite.
The Swirl Suite. You mentioned Swirl Suite. I'll probably, include you.
Okay.
But I guess I'm not that great at it, so I don't know exactly how to do it so well. So you bear with me on that. But parting words. Just really enjoy the wine. Don't be afraid of it. Don't think that you have to be some kind. People ask me, I do wine tastings all the time, and they go, Jay, how is it that you know the difference between Cabernet and a Merlot, Cabernet and a Zinfandel, which is more obvious than a Cabernet and Merlot. Mm-hmm. And I'll ask them a rhetorical question. How many people here know the difference between Coca-Cola and your local Wallbaum's Cola? Mm-hmm. Like everybody will raise their hand. Or Tropicana orange juice and concentrate orange juice, and everybody will raise, or most people raise their hand. And I'll go, why do you know the difference? And they'll tell me, because we drink a lot of Tropicana, or we drink a lot of Coca-Cola. And I say, there's no difference in wine. Experiment. Don't be afraid. Don't be gun shy. Don't think that everybody has to be a Jay Buchsbaum or a Tanisha or whatever, to drink good wine. Just enjoy it. And the more you drink it, the more your palate will become accustomed to it, the more you'll enjoy it. But never, ever, ever, I say this on wherever I can, over drink. It's not fun.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, those are excellent parting words. Thank you so much, Jay from Royal Wine Corporation, so they can find your wines and the different things that Royal Wine has on their website and on their social media. And we appreciate you, and thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you.
My pleasure. Have a great time, ladies.
Bye, Jay.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining the Swirl Suite, guys. You can follow myself at Buy Me Up, and you can follow Tanisha at Girl Meets Glass. And please don't forget to follow the Swirl Suite at Swirl Suite on all social media. You can even follow Jay at Royal Wine Corp on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Cheers.